What's up, everybody? Welcome back to NoFakin Sports. Today, we're going to talk about the two teams that are in the championship game in Indiana and Miami, what they did to get there, and what the Oklahoma Sooners can learn from teams that have had some success in the playoffs moving forward.
Welcome to the channel. This is NoFakin Sports, bringing you the latest on the Oklahoma Sooners, hosted by David Kincaid.
We didn't have any success in the playoffs. We got to the playoffs, thank goodness. So congratulations to the team for that. But now it's time to take that next step instead of taking a step backwards. And there's only one way to do that. And y'all know what it is, but it's obviously running the football, but we're going to give you guys some numbers just to kind of back up my claims, as I always do. But with Indiana and Miami, all season, it has been a defensive first, concentrate on run the football mentality. That's what it is. For a lot of the teams that have gotten to the playoffs and have had success in the playoffs, they ran the football. Let's start with Miami. Physical offensive line play, commitment to the run, and they protected their quarterback. Carson Beck, who transferred over from the University of Georgia, was not asked to be Superman. He was not asked to do everything because that is not who Carson Beck is. He is a good game manager. He is someone that can make you a play here and there if you protect him with a strong running game. And that's what Miami did for most of the season. They protected their quarterback. And they got themselves in the championship game. They controlled the game with a strong run game instead of chasing style points and trying to spread out and throw the football all over the place. And if they continue that trend, they will stand a chance in this game. But if they don't, they're going to get blown out by Indiana like everybody else did that forgot to run the football. Oregon, Alabama, and Ohio State. Let's talk about Indiana. Clear offensive identity. They are a run-first football team. They are consistently running the ball 35, 40, 50 times a game. That's who they are. That's what they do. They're going to wear you down over the course of a football game, and they're going to make you give up. They beat the mess out of Oregon by running the football to the tune of 40 times. What they did to Alabama was to the tune of 50 rushes. This is what this team does. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They don't turn the football over, and they don't ask their quarterback to do everything. So they're not asking him to do everything, just like they didn't ask him to do everything throughout the season. And he still won the Heisman. You know why? Because he is the leader of an undefeated football team. Not because he went out and threw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns and ran for another 25. He doesn't have the Superman numbers. But he's got a great defense and a great run game to rely on. And it allows him to be efficient on a consistent basis. I want to talk to you guys about some of these numbers real quick. Let's talk about the 12 teams that are currently that played in the playoffs this year and where they ranked as far as rushing. 1 through 12. Now, I took out the playoff rushes. I had to go individually. Y'all know I don't mind doing the work. I had to go and take off the playoff rushes so we can only get the regular season, so each team will have an equal number of games, which was 12. No conference championship games, no playoff games. Number 1 on that list was James Madison. Where did Curt Cignetti come from? What did he leave behind? He left behind a team that knows how to win. 533 rushing attempts on the season. Second on that list was Georgia. We all know that during Georgia's run, they ran the football and they played great defense. That allowed them to win the SEC championship and be in the playoffs. Okay? They lost to Alabama earlier in the season, and they came back and avenged that loss in the playoff game in which they outrushed Alabama. Everybody outrushes Alabama, but we're concentrating on attempts for the sake of this video. Next is Ole Miss, 494 rushing attempts. Ole Miss's offense under Lane Kiffin was a juggernaut. They put up points on anybody that they played. Now, they lost in their playoff game, but they got outrushed, and we're going to talk about that later, those matchups in each individual game, because I have a surprising stat for you guys as far as rushing attempts. Next is Indiana, who I actually came on here and I told you guys was my pick for the national championship. I thought they were the best team in college football because of not only their senior leadership, guys that decided to come back, their style of play on offense and their style of play on defense. This is a historic run by this team. 490 rushes on the season. Texas Tech was next, 481 rushes. The only problem with Texas Tech is in their first playoff game against Oregon, they forgot to run the football. They got outrushed by Oregon. And we're going to talk about those matchups again here in a second. Texas A&M, 463 rushes. They ran the football throughout the year. They were undefeated until they met Texas in the last game of the year. Running the football. Oregon, another team, lost to Indiana in the regular season and then lost to them again in the postseason by a blowout. They got so far behind, turnovers, and Indiana running the ball down their throat, they had to throw the football. They didn't have a choice. But Oregon, 452 rushes on the year. Miami, this is the other team that's in the championship game, 433 rushes on the year. Running the football, playing great defense. Tulane. Now, James Madison and Tulane, group of 4 teams. Group of 5 teams, not Power 4 teams. It is what it is, man. They let them in. They got blown out. But they ran the ball on the season, 429 attempts. That's how they got here. They actually upset North Texas in their championship game to get a playoff spot. Ohio State, new offensive coordinator this year, and Brian Hartline, lost Chip Kelly, but they still ran the football, 425 rushes on the year. Alabama is number 11 with 412 rushes on the year. And last but not least, the Oklahoma Sooners. Are you guys surprised that, we barely got into the playoffs, and a lot of people wanted Notre Dame in more than we did, more than they wanted us in, because of our offense and the way that we played. James Madison ran the ball 533 times. Let's not even talk about James Madison. Let's talk about Indiana, 490 rushing attempts on the season. And we're sitting there at 402. That's an 88 attempt discrepancy. Divide that by 12. My math is pretty good. You go to 84, you got 7 rushing attempts. We're 7 rushing attempts less than the team that's favored to win the national championship by 8.5. So it's not like we have far to go, but you have to actually call run plays. And if you guys are new to the channel, man, and you want to talk about the offensive line and the running backs and DeMarco Moore and all this stuff, man, y'all got to go back and watch those videos. I'm not going to go back into that. We've beat that enough, okay? We're just not calling run plays for running backs. Let's talk about these matchups, because one of the stats that I came up with as I was digging, I looked at attempts and turnovers. Rushing attempts and turnovers. The yards don't really mean too much. It's the rushing attempts. That lets me know that you are controlling the football game. You're getting drives and you are moving the ball down the field. I had another stat that I was the only one that gave it to you, that Ben Arbuckle is undefeated when he runs the ball 40 plus times a game, and Kalen DeBoer is defeated for everything when teams run the ball 40 plus times or more against him. He has not beat a team that has run the ball 40 times. Regardless of the yards, the attempts. But one of the stats that I came up with, 3 times out of 8 did having more rushing attempts than the other team not equal a win. And one of the more reasons that was because of the turnovers. And I'm going to go through each one and tell you. And only one time did the turnovers match and the other team ran the ball more and they didn't get a win. One time out of 8. And out of the NFL playoff games that were just recently played, because I don't want you to think that it's just college football, because football is football. I know in the NFL, y'all see them throwing the ball all over the place, and that can cloud your judgment if you don't get into the numbers. But the numbers for the NFL playoffs, the wild card playoffs that just happened, one team, one game out of the 6 NFL wildcard games, the team that ran the ball the most won every time but once. The team that had the most rushing attempts won all those games but once. 5-1. That's a pretty good goddamn record if you ask me when it comes to running the football. So we know it's not a secret, but let's go through these playoff games. Oregon versus Texas Tech. Oregon ran the ball 47 times to Texas Tech's 30. Oregon won the football game. Texas Tech had 4 turnovers to Oregon's 1. OU Bama. This is one of those matchups. OU ran the football more. They only ran it 33 times, though, to Alabama's 25. But Oklahoma had the 1 turnover. That's why I say I'm looking at attempts and turnovers. So that's one of those games. Bama, Indiana. Bama only ran the ball 17 times. Indiana ran it 50 times. Alabama had 1 turnover, blown out. And the board's going to get fired. I said that in one of my other videos as well. Maybe not this season, but more than likely next season. Oregon, Indiana. Indiana ran the ball 40 times to Oregon's 26 times. Oregon had 3 turnovers. And a lot of times, guys, those turnovers are, I think it was 2 interceptions and 1 fumble, or the other way around. It was something like that. But a lot of those times when you get turnovers, it's because you are in a position to where you are predictable and teams can just tee off. And you're in pass blocking mode the whole time. 26 rushes to 40? You're going to lose every time. Miami. They beat Texas A&M. They lost the rushing attempts battle 28-35, but Texas A&M had 3 turnovers. Ole Miss and Georgia. This is that one game that the turnovers didn't matter and the team that ran the ball more didn't win. This was that only one game. And that was Ole Miss and Georgia. Georgia ran the ball 37 times to Ole Miss's 27. But that was a 39-34 score. That pretty much just came down to who had the ball last and who was going to execute at the end. That's all that was. Miami, Ohio State. Miami ran the ball 37 times. Ohio State ran it 24 times. Ole Miss, Miami. Miami won this game, y'all. They ran the ball 51 times to Ole Miss's 21. And that was still a close game. Ole Miss just has a dynamic offense. I do think that Indiana's quarterback is going to be a very good pro. But 1A to Trinidad Chambliss is 1B or 1A, 1B. Those two are going to be the top two quarterbacks taken in the NFL draft, deservedly so. They're both going to be very good pros. But those were the rushing attempts and the scores for those playoff games. The numbers don't lie. And I try to give you guys as many different ways to show it to you as I can. And I want you to understand that it's not just for Oklahoma. Teams over different conferences, Oregon, Texas Tech, they're getting there by running the football. You know who don't run the football? The ACC. They don't run the football. Miami did. And they got there. And they weren't even the ACC champ. But if we want to have some success in the playoffs going forward, we have to run the football. We have to. And until I see that, and we're going to have a whole off season, and I'm going to be honest with you, I just don't think it's something that's going to be fixed. I don't want to be doom and gloom, but if we come into this year with the same offense that he ran without any improvements as far as wanting to run the ball, power football, it's going to be a 5-loss season. And you can clip this. I'm just going to be honest with you. I know what you're saying. John Mateer is going to have another year. He's going to be better. His thumb is going to be healed. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm telling you that if this offense does not take a turn away from what it is doing, regardless of all those other factors, it'll be a 5-loss season. Drop down in the comments, guys. Tell me what you think. I hope you enjoyed the video. My apologies for not having the live last Friday, but we had some football on the TV, man. I didn't want to mess with that. So I actually have a funeral to go to Saturday in Shreveport, so I don't know if I'm going to do a video tomorrow night. But I promise you guys I'm going to come back with the lives on Fridays. If not this Friday at 7 p.m., it'll be next Friday at 7 p.m., and I will go over the comments from this video. That's what I want to do going forward. I'll drop a video during the week, and then I will respond to the comments in the comment section, but I'll dive more into it in the live video on Friday. Guys, we're almost at 1,000 subscribers. I think I need 20 more, man. If you are not subscribed, do me that huge favor. I promise you I appreciate it. Just check real quick. If you're not subscribed, do that for me. I feel this page deserves 1,000 and more. I hope you guys do too. Appreciate everything, guys. All the support. I can't say it enough, and I'm not going to stop saying it. Till next time. Over.